Here we late.
Hold on, we here, we late. Yo, that's crazy. But it's both of us.
Yeah,
as y'all can see.
Listen, whoo.
It's both of us.
I can't even blame him no more. I can't. Like,
listen. One thing I would say about this show is, like we said, I always say it's the human capital, the resourcing. You know, the networking that we're able to do from being on the show, like the people we're able to meet, you know, and build with.
Absolutely.
So we both live lives. We do similar work. And it's crazy for me to say that we do similar work considering she's a master. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, I got, like, you know what I'm saying? She is the ish. Cause and you know, I can say too. We do similar work.
He moved different than me though.
Yeah.
I'm telling
but
you
I got,
right now,
listen.
he moved a lot different than I do. Long as we still getting the end result, that's all that matters.
It's
the
still
positive
growing.
result, the improving the quality of people's lives, connecting people to resources. Long as we are helping and the result is what it is.
I'm good with that.
We're going to keep moving out like that.
So let me do this though. This is PSA, Philly Service Announcement, Takeover Tuesday Takeover, Love, Support, Grace, Social Activism, Resources, and Art. I'm the assist.
I'm your girl, Nick. Raw
Kill. It's like,
Raw Cannon. Raw Cannon.
My right hand sister, y'all.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We got an old Buckeye over here, you know what I'm saying, chilling with us.
Don't let him say that. Don't let him say that.
Yo, we got I'm not going to hold on before I get to this brother, because this brother is super important to my life, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't really say I've had men in my life, good dudes, good people, but I can't, and I did have my own father. My dad passed away, but my dad didn't really know how to be a dad. My dad passed away when I was 12. So from the time that my dad passed away until I met this brother, this man right here, I was doing my own thing when it came to manhood. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it was guided by morals and values that I had been given by black women. It wasn't a lot of input about, you know, how a person is actually supposed to be from black men in my life up until the time that I met this brother. Not somebody that I didn't consider my peer, because I considered a lot of people my peers even when I was like 10, 15, 20 years younger than them. But the way that I was moving and I watched how they was moving wasn't that far off.
Right.
The men. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, it might have been a money thing. He might have been more reckless a little bit, but like, structure about what it is to be a man, I wasn't getting it. I was figuring it out on my own. You know what I'm saying? Until I met this brother right here. And it's like, you know, the man you see right now, the man people talk about, you know, not like I'm famous, but people talk about me in a very positive light. And that's intentional by me. You know what I'm saying? That's intentional by me. I try to live my life. I live my life in a way that when people talk about me, you know, at the main thing I want them to just say, nah, he a good dude. You know what I'm saying? If that's the only thing people say about me when you ask about me, I'm good with that. I said that was my purpose for a long time. If the smallest thing that you say is just, yeah, I know him. He a good dude. You know, he a good dude. And anything you add on to that is gravy. So this is a brother that made me think like that, because he didn't, like, it was one of those things like you don't have to be. You know what I mean? You don't have to be patient. You don't have to take something I ask you, go in, research it, study it, and then come back out and see, listen, brother, you know, what you seeing, you don't understand the thing the way it's supposed to be understood. See, if you read this chapter, this book, and the brother might have read 6 different books or reached into his joint and like really took his time to come back and have a sturdy answer for me that he knew that I would go research and con. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew that would motivate me in that way from us walking around and talking, and I got endless questions. And I'm so excited that somebody I'm around, another man, can answer questions and tell me stuff that I don't know. Like, and tell me extensive things that I don't know. And I got to go and study. And I seen how men were in the penitentiary, unfortunately. There's a lot of savagery. There's a lot. If it didn't happen physically, in thought, when you heard thought processes of black men, unfortunately, not everybody, And I understand where it came from. But when you would see what happened to our brothers, and then we land in this place together called prison, and I'm listening to how they think, and I'm like, damn, this is craziness. You know what I'm saying? And I had a certain idea about older brothers in jail too. Everybody was weird to me. You participated in some weirdness, man. And then I met this brother right here, and it was just like, nah, I'm just telling you this stuff because it's my purpose. So I'm like, why? Why do you take this time? Because we ask that question because we don't come from it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Who goes and studies so they can teach their children? Something we talk about as a part of parenting. You know what I'm saying? We talk about parenting a lot, community parenting. Well, one of the ways that I knew I was going to be a community parent, I knew I was going to be a pillar, is because when I didn't have no other way to touch, I said, you know what? I'm going to inform myself. So every time somebody talked to me, I can give them something. And that was my way of playing my role from prison. The information was the money. The information was the presence. You feel what I'm saying? When you talk to me, like he'll tell you, I know guidance. You being a counselor on the phone, you doing all these years. People calling you, so what you think about this? And so, this happened to so. And what you think we should do about that? Now, they only listen to what they want to listen to, but they know they can call you and get answers. But the thing is, you talking to me from I'm in the penitentiary. It should be the reverse. Like, you know what I mean? I should be the one on the phone like, man, they ain't feed us today.
I'm quite sure you may have had a tough night or day or two and was able to reach out to somebody and get a listening ear and be that person.
But that's the thing, because the way that he made me think was that wasn't a burden. That wasn't a burden. Me getting on the phone, it made me feel good that I was. But I'm just saying, you would think when we get on the phone, most people is just like, if you in prison, you the one with all the complaints and you need an ear, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for us, because I wanted to be an asset, I didn't want to be a liability. And being in prison, you are a liability. You are. I don't care how sturdy you was before you got locked up. But once you go to prison, you are a liability, because people got to take, you're taking whatever resource that you had for that family, you're instantly taking it out. So they had a deficit from the rip.
Or somebody else is jumping into their
right.
role, and roles change.
Exactly. And now they have to take care of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they didn't have it, and you took the money out when you left. And now you need the money. You know what I mean? You took it, now you need it. So the only way that I felt like, and I know from talking to this brother that I consider a father, you had, and it's the way that you made it. You kept your sanity too. You had to have a purpose. You can't just you can't wander aimlessly in the prison, because you'll lose your mind. Seriously, they'll take it right from you. You won't even know. We was talking about it earlier. We talk about it a lot. A lot of people be dealing with different levels of mental illness and don't even be knowing it. And then you trying to keep your sanity while dealing with people who are losing theirs for a variety of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So now how do we, what's the give and take right there?
Right.
That's always the question. So before I let this brother introduce himself, I had to give that, little soliloquy, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To allow y'all to know. How I feel about this brother. And I say more, but it's good to see him out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see him out here. It's good to see him in a space where he can get comfortable. You know what I mean? Because one thing about prison, you can never get comfortable. That's one of the things that drive you crazy too. You can never, no matter how good that food is, like it ain't the best. It ain't what you really could be eating. You tricking your mind into believing. We could be in the yard on a sunny day having amazing conversation. Yard in. Go out to the visit. You out there for 8 hours. You want 9. You need 9. Can I get 12 of them Jones? Like, why y'all doing this to me? Can they just stay for the whole day? I might not see them. You know what I'm saying? That's how you would feel. Nothing. You could never get comfortable. In no way. And now, life is what it is. Because another thing that I say that he told me a lot, this out here created that. So think about how bad this can be. If this can create the penitentiary. If you got minds and people who willing to do this, you going back to that. So be mindful.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is the worst that you. This is the worst your head can wrap is this the worst that you can wrap your head around. Because it's like one of the ways that we were able to show patience, and I know he could tell you the same thing is, I understood like whether a dude had 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or life, he's only doing the time that he can wrap his head around. So if you got life, you can't be mad at him for how he doing his 5 years. Because in his head, that's all he can muster up enough to think about is the 5 years he gotta do and what he gonna be missing. Mm-hmm. So if you got 20, you can't come and expect him to move in a certain way. It's a certain courtesy, you know what I'm saying, that can be shown. But we would have cats look at dudes like, man, I could do that standing on my head, but that's not his reality. And that's not your reality. So how you gonna be upset with that man and want him to act or show you a certain? Because it came down to an entitlement about having the time. My other brother will tell you, as crazy as that may sound, dudes who had a certain amount of time felt like they was entitled to things in the jail because that's the amount of time they had. And think about how crazy that sound. Entitlement because of your jail time. I got life. So I should be entitled to, you should allow me to act and do certain things that you wouldn't normally let people do and say, and you know what I mean? Because I got life. An entitlement that comes with it, because I got 30 years or 20 years, you know what I mean? And that's something else I learned from him, that ain't how that's supposed to work. You become an oppressor because you being oppressed. So that's stuff that I learned from him, and then some of the things was taught to me directly, some of the things was just I watched. I paid attention how he treated me, and then how he treated other people, and how his conversation never really changed. The consistency, like I tell my sister all the time, like, yeah, it's a time and a place for us to like go at folks about not being right. Mm-hmm. But I was like, if you maintain your consistency, the fake shit gonna expose itself. It can't compete. Eventually. Fake shit can't compete with consistency. It can't compete with it. It's gonna show its head.
It is.
It's going to show its head. So if you stay consistent, if they faking, they going to show it to you.
Yeah.
Because you can't maintain it. You can't maintain it. You trying to keep creating on the fly. I'm consistent. I know what I'm doing every day. I know how I'm being, who I am. If you keep trying to create this person that you trying to be for me, you're going to run out of ideas at some point. What I'm doing is my pattern. I do it every day. I'm consistent. This is who I am.
Right.
You trying to figure it out every day. You're going to slip up on a move at some point. Something you say to somebody else, an action that you have, a facial expression you make. Me watching you interact with somebody else, I'm going to see it. Oh, there you go. I knew it. I knew it was coming.
Just the uncertainty. just the uncertainty, the need for your critical thought instead of their own. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot, but some people aspire to it. Even in secret, even mm-hmm. when they presenting that this is where they at, they really aspire to it, but just not there yet. Mm-hmm. But the problem is people don't want to acknowledge that they're not there yet. They want to fake the funk and try to walk the walk, and they eventually fall off because they can't stand in a room and hold a conversation without that support.
No doubt. It's the and I'm gonna let this brother introduce himself.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna let him just sit here.
No, let him introduce himself.
Because this is my opportunity for all them years. It's like,
let him introduce himself. Let him introduce himself.
That he came with all these clever ways to call us coons and buckeyes and all that. That's how we used to play with each other, though. Like, because it was one of them things to find a coon in the mist. Like, look at this guy. Nah, but listen, man, this is somebody I affectionately call my dad, and I don't give a lot of men that. Like, this dude mean a whole lot to me. Okay. Hey, you gotta wear the mic.
I gotta put
the dinosaurs, man. You gotta do it all, man. Make it look professional, brother. No, please, brother.
I'm old. Oh, no.
So just tell them, who are you?
My name is Sigambuzo Simba Tamojual. Mm-hmm. Right? Formerly Stafford Chestnut.
Cool names, like, no.
Yeah, so I went to prison, and to make a long story short, I'll do it this way. My father told me something, right? And I didn't pay him no mind when he said it, right? I was in prison. He said, man, put something new in your head every day. He said, because if you don't put nothing new in your head every day, you can't do nothing but pick up where you left off when you get out. Because you had nothing new to bring to the table. You know, you think in the same way. You come home looking for, you know, Clarice's bar. Clarice's bar is a Chinese store now. It ain't even there no more, but you're still looking for it. You know, and so I chose to, like, you know, to make a change in my life, right, to try to find out who I was. You know, and I went through a lot of little transitions and transformations, you know, but I mean, in the end, it came out pretty good. You know, I mean, I've got to the point where I love to learn, and I love to learn about us as a people. You know, that was like my main focus. You know, I mean, why is it that they dislike us so much? You know, this, that, and the other, right? And you know, who are we? What is it to be African? What does that mean? Does that mean because you're black and you descend from people from Africa, or is it something more deeper than even that? African is an identity. It's your identity as to how you as a people see the world. You know, how do you see family? How do you see God? How do you see religion? You know, I mean, it is our identity that is defined by us and nobody else. And it's the same thing with other races as well. You know, Europeans, what is it to be European? It's their definition of their perception to, you know, the creation and how they deal with it. And so I needed to find out, you know, did we ever do it? You know, or are we just doing it now? And come to find out, we did it before anybody else ever did it. You know, we made civilization and this, that, and the other. I was talking to the young lady earlier, and I asked her a question. I said, what did man do before he knew fire? How did he survive at night? He wasn't nocturnal. How did he protect himself from the lions, the hyenas, the tigers, and all these things here? You know, what did he do? How did he save himself? And one of the things that he may have done, maybe he climbed up in a tree, way high up in a tree. But he got up in the tree, but he realized that he couldn't go to sleep because he might fall out the tree and then he'd get eaten by the beast below. So his mind needed something to occupy itself. So what did it do? It looked up at the universe. And by looking at the universe, he realized that there was a star that was once here, but now it's over there, which allowed his mind to say the universe is moving. You know, and then as he kept studying it over time, he realized that this star, when it got over there, light came back into the creation. Well, just as a result of trying to, you know, avoid an event on the ground, he creates astronomy. You know, I mean, just, you know, just like that, you know, and you'll find that there were other things as well. You know, people who live by water, you know, what did they do when they seen something floating on the water when they knew everything sank? His mind went through this adventure that says that I'd like to master that. And so over time, you know, he's trying to master the floating on the water to eventually he builds a boat. But he not only built the boat, he also created geometry, because you need to know geometry in order to make a boat. So just as a result of events, we learned, you know, and we created what becomes civilization. We gave it to the world, you know, I mean, and so what it is like now we're at a point now to whereas there was somebody who wanted you to forget everything or take your information, just screw it all up so you'll never remember, you know, but, you know, I mean, we're coming back now. You know, it's like, you know, the energy in the creation is governed by laws. You know, you got a law correspondent. Law correspondent says the pendulum swings to the same degree to the left as it does to the right. So, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, you may have good energy over here, but when it gets over here, it's just bad energy. Chaos just comes in. But it's going to swing back again. So all that we see today, the frustrations that we have, and, you know, what we see in the community, you know, our relationships with, you know, our wives and girlfriends and this, that, and the other, why they're so chaotic. It's just the energy that's in the creation. But at some point in time, it's going to swing back. And you'll find that love that your great-grandmama had. That'll come back too. You know, so we shouldn't despair. We just keep fighting, keep struggling. Don't stop. Don't quit, you know. But understand that, you know, everything happens in its time. You know, and that's basically what I got to say.
So, but this is the thing, when you say keep struggling, keep fighting, like, what about for me that sound like survival. How do we live though? Like, how do we live and stop surviving? Like,
well, you live by trying to find out who you is. Like I say, I'm just talking about black people. We're African people, first and foremost. Our tree is Africa. But as this tree grew, it began to sprout branches: Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Pan-Africanism, so on and so forth, which was okay. But when that branch started believing that it was the tree, is where the problem comes in at.
Absolutely.
That is our problem. We got to go back to the root of that tree and say, and look at what we did to define ourselves and our relationships to the creation.
Mm-hmm.
We have to. Other than that, it's like right now we find ourselves, we was just talking about this too, right? We find ourselves in these predicaments. All right, drug abuse, black on black crime, murder, so on and so forth, all the chaos that goes on, right? But what we don't understand, that there's a difference between a predicament and a problem. We're thinking that the predicament is the problem. It's only the predicament. And if you don't go back and try to find out where the problem starts at, you'll never be able to solve the predicament. Mm-hmm. That's where we at with this right now. And so we have to go back and find out who we are, to find out our definition of our relationship to the universe and to the creation and to each other. We can't use somebody else's stuff.
Absolutely.
You can't be, you're not an Arab. You're not European.
Right.
That's them, And so we got to go back and find out and be proud of what does it mean to be African? What does that mean?
And the reality is, we're going to have to do it.
Yes.
We can't sit around and wait for somebody else to tell us who we are.
Exactly.
And what our connection is to the universe.
Yes.
Right? And I hear what you're saying when you say, what do we do while we're surviving? How do we live? You find your purpose.
That's right.
You find your purpose and you stick to it, and you don't let that survival get in the way of you following, going through to your purpose.
Sure. And that's the purpose in every aspect of this thing here. It's like me and her had this conversation. I said, what is the purpose of a woman? What is her purpose in this creation? And all right, to bring forth life. Mm-hmm. Man, what is your purpose? No life lives in you. You bring no life forth. What is your purpose? And because you can't answer the question, you don't know what to do. You run around in chaos. Your purpose is to serve and protect that which brings forth life. That is your purpose. Mm-hmm. And the only way that you're able to do that, right, is that to come into your purpose is not to. I hate to use a biblical thing, but it's cool. It's all right. And God said you his vicegerent on the planet. In other words, you his maintenance man. How can you be his maintenance man when you're only working with one side of who you are? You're only working with the male side. What about the female side? Mm-hmm. And so in ancient times, this is what they did to fix this dilemma. They created a priesthood. They created a priesthood that women weren't allowed to go to. Mm-hmm. But the priesthood was built on the female system. This was made to teach man the other side of himself so he could fulfill his purpose and be the vicegerent, be the maintenance man. He couldn't do it with just half of a knowledge. He had to have the whole thing. But they disguised it in that form of, a priesthood. And like I said, women were not allowed in the priesthood. It was a reason, because they would have automatically known what it was. But they had to teach him the other side of himself, because he don't have babies. No life lives inside of him. He doesn't understand life. And so therefore, how do I prepare him to do his job? And that's what that was about.
But that's the crazy thing. Like, you have conversations, and they used to tell you this in school. Like, you got half of who you are from your mom, and half of who you are from your father. You know what I'm saying? That chromosome thing.
Chromosome.
And that's and one of the things that, because I've heard this story a lot of times, and you add to the story every time you go. But one of the things that stood out to me when I heard the story was, in order for you to be a better father, you need to understand the female side of yourself. In order for you to be a better husband, you need a son, a brother. Like, in order for you to be able to deal with women properly, you have to understand that you have a female side, and it's for you to be able to deal with the other side of yourself, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying?
And that is
That's
a
what,
problem
right.
for a lot of men, specifically our black men, because that acknowledgement of that is there's a negative connotation to it, like it's a soft, or you know what I mean. You know, if you tap into that part of you that screams woman, and I mean, that's what they say, you know, your emotions, your feelings, you know, all of that. If you tapping into that, that is a negative thing, and you soft, and you weak, and you know, and then there's the other, you know, the man side, that's, you know, the dominant, the protector, the aggressor, you know. And it's like you when you struggling with that, it can come out looking a lot of different ways, right?
Yes.
Insecurity, you know, crime, mental health, drugs and alcohol, domestic violence. Like, it could look like a lot of different things within your community on top of the oppression.
Yep.
So it's just like, you know, women, we don't have a man side, right? But we have a side that black women, us black women in particular, who have this dominance and need to protect and survive and protect ourselves, our family, our black men, like, and we have this need to problem solve and take care of everything, and sometimes that can look like control, and that's not good for a man.
I know what you about to say.
I got something else. I got something else. I learned something home, right? Is that, you know, women, right? You know, when you think about it, like I tell this to women. I say, you know what you need to do, sis? Take yourself on a date. Don't take your husband. Don't take your kids. Take yourself on a date to try to define who you are. Because you spend so much time serving everybody else, you, that you never have the opportunity to define who you are. And it's not until you get divorced, you get separated, your husband died, whatever, and you by yourself. Now all of a sudden you're starting to find out things about you that you never knew before.
You living your best life, like you good.
Yeah, you were so busy, I mean, taking care of everybody else, that you never had the opportunity to define who you are. You know, and that space, you know, even though it may come from a tragic circumstance, it gives you the time to say, damn, what do I think about this? I know what my husband think. I know what my kids think. I know what my brothers think. But I never thought about what I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like having that. I like having that conversation because I learned it from my mom. Like, and I learned it more from, I read about it, but I experienced it in real time with my brothers and sisters, because they always be like, yo, mommy did this, mommy did that, mommy did this, mommy did that, right? And then when I got locked up, that was like a thing that just always was there. Like, mommy did this. These are the mistakes that mommy made. And it's like, okay, we having this conversation, but I'm like, all of us got, you know, in prison, I just was like, damn, all of us got fathers though. And I never hear nobody say daddy didn't do. Daddy, like, the reason why mommy faltered maybe in that moment where she faltered is because it wasn't daddy. And then that took me to, I knew how my mom moved. So it's like, my mom was never just my mom. She was somebody's sister. She was somebody's friend. She was somebody's boo. She was somebody's mistress. Whatever it was, like, she was somebody's co-worker, somebody's daughter. My mom was never just my mom. But we, even into our adulthood, we be trapped into this mindset, and then it gets like, passed on to the other women.
She's nothing else but
right.
Mom.
And but women take that on as just being mommy. That's not the end all and be all to making you a queen or making you a wonderful. It's an amazing, important. It's the hardest job in the world, but it's not the only thing that defines you as a woman.
Not at all.
It's a part of who you are. You have a lot of other roles. You know what I'm saying? And you don't look at it outside of motherhood. And then I don't know how to deal with you even in that role, because I don't really know how to deal with women. But the point I was gonna make off of that, with learning that from my brothers and sisters, my mom and them did teach me about being okay with all those other emotions. You know, having sensitivity, you know what I mean? Like, really, like, genuinely caring for somebody, caring for children, caring for other men, you know what I'm saying? And not being like, yo, I can't have a dude, it's my man. Like, I get excited when I see my brother, you know what I mean? And there's nothing weird about it. Nothing weird about it at all. When we was in the penitentiary, like, they used to try to make jokes about us hugging each other every time we would, like, we made a rule, like, when we leave the yard, we all hug each other, because, you know, prison is one of those things where you might go to your block, get into something, I never see you again. And that's real rap. Like, I really might not never see you again, because we got a lot of time. I ain't no telling if you gonna make it home, depending on what happened. You might get more time. I could go home, something happen. Like, I might really, truly never see you again. And we had that understanding. So we made it a rule. Like, we leave in the kitchen, we leave it. I don't care if we just came from the yard. This is why the cars used to get mad. Because they'd say, y'all just seen each other in the yard. And we'd just ignore them. Like, man, what's up? You know, my fault. We just would ignore them, like, whatever. Because y'all, you know, they don't do it like that. They don't embrace each other in that way. But that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But, excuse me. But, the understanding of female side of yourself, my mom and them did that without knowing that that's what they was necessarily doing to me, you know. And then when I start getting the information and start really reading, and how a woman is fully dimensional, how I need to be able to inspire those things, help her become that. You know what I'm saying? Not because you get in the chaos because you just getting mommy all the time, to the point where that's all you want. You just want mommy, and that's not gonna work because she's other than mommy. And that's the chaos. We sitting here rumbling because I'm just like, oh, you just mommy. You my girl, you just mommy though. You know what I'm saying? You kind of my girl, but you mainly just mommy. You know what I mean? And that's the conflict, because you more than mommy, but you don't even know how to express it yourself.
What did Francis say? What did Francis Cress Weldon say?
About which one?
Francis Cress Weldon say that your woman come up and say, hey, baby. And you say, what's up, mommy? So where we going? To the crib. You know?
Y'all living. It's like Baby Boy. Baby Boy thinking that his mom thinking that this my boyfriend. Like, these are the roles that y'all playing in the house when it's the little man. He's the man of the house. You giving him roles that your boyfriend or his father or your husband is supposed to have. And that gets convoluted. It never gets sexually weird or anything like that. But the way that y'all deal with each other, and how you're stifling his growth because you're consistently acting like mommy, but you're also telling him that he's a man. It's like you catering to him, but you ain't giving him. You're not giving him nothing. You cater to him as the boy, but you treating him like he's a man. You know what I mean? And he's got a confused thought process about this. He think this real, like Baby Boy. What's the name of it? What is the something theory? Oedipus theory. Exactly. And that's something she talks about. Like, that's how we in here living, and we speak it out with our toys in the crib and mom, you know, using those words. We don't really know, like, where it's coming from, but that's where it's coming from. You in a perpetual state of being a boy.
Yeah. You know, when I was in prison, as it went on, there's a time when I did a lot of time, right? But you know, after a while, I started to resenting dudes, because I'm dealing with dudes every day, all day, 24 hours a day. And I gained this resentment, right? And what it was is that, you know, it was like I would hear them, you know. I don't know if it's just dudes in prisons or dudes in the street too, you know, but they tend to act like they are an authority on what it is to be a woman. They'll be on the phone all day long telling their woman, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it hit me one day, it's like, how is it that you such authority on what it is to be a woman and you ain't figured out what it was to be a man yet? You know, I mean, how did you do that, you know? Yeah, I said it.
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard what he said. Don't choke, bro. You all right?
I'm all right.
Oh, okay.
You know, and
y'all heard what he said.
Some of us are so consumed in, you know, telling somebody else what it is to do, and you can't even figure out your own role. And
can't even figure out your own self.
And that's how we is out here. You know, we're in the street the same way.
Control.
Yo, that's funny.
And power, and for that, I will say that is one of the. It's sort of like a trickle down effect, right? Of the control over you, and that's like the oppressor doing the oppression. You know what I mean? So you have this control over you in prison, and no control over what's going on the outside. But when you reach out and you get those connections, it's like, oh, you need to be doing this, this, that, and the third. I need you to do this, that. You got to do this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, we, as a woman who's been out here with a husband inside and children to take care of and a job and a house and cars and myself, right? We are making decisions that you probably won't agree with because we are doing what we feel we need to do for our peace of mind. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we try to not put pressure and stress on you being inside. You know what I mean? So we make decisions and we make moves and we do things and might not even say nothing to you about it. You know what I mean? Because of that fear of wanting to protect and wanting to provide and wanting to care and wanting to, you know, just be the problem solvers. And it's something that I personally know that I struggle with. A lot of black women I know struggle with. But, you know, we have to acknowledge the fact that we are all a part of systems that have created these roles that we are supposed to be in. And when you come out as a young girl, the roles are already set for you. You're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, and you're not really tapping into finding out what it is to just truly be a woman because it's already set. You're going to go have babies, you're going to get married, you're going to do this. I had the opportunity to see Michelle Obama over the weekend. And I came out of there, and to be honest, Michelle Obama as a mother ain't told me nothing that I ain't already know, right? But it's something about the first lady saying things and connecting with me, and I'm like, oh, that's me. You know what I mean? And just to be able to be in a crowd and see the first lady and can relate to the things that she's saying is like, it's a wow, an aha moment, right? But one of the things that I took away from that was, you know, that control thing that I have and a lot of people that we have as black women, it's everywhere. And no matter what your class is, no matter where you at financially, no matter where you at in connection with family, it's there. It's within all of us. And she said something about being a mother and parenting, and it was like, sometimes you got to take a step back and let things happen. Don't get in the way, because when you get in the way, you become a part of the problem. It happened this way because you did something. And instead of just stepping back and allowing whatever to happen, sometimes that, you know, it can be your child, it could be you, you know, going head to head with the, you know, co-parenting, it could be, you know, a co-worker, it could be anything. But with respect to children is when the way she made the analogy. And it was like, you got to just sit back and let them, because that's where the learning comes from. They ain't learning from you telling them to do it. They not learning from that.
That is one of the biggest mistakes.
That's the biggest mistake.
We tell our children, I mean, I was raised this way, you know, and I didn't come into this realization except for sitting in that room, you know, and what it was is that my mother always tell me, you don't do this, you don't do that. I don't want you hanging with him. I don't want you doing this, that, and the other, right? And my mind is saying, you know, why? And you ask why? Because I said so. Period. That's in the conversation. But had you took that moment to say, this is why that shouldn't be done, I wouldn't have been so curious to find out why I couldn't do it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And because it's that moment, you know, I mean, sometimes we need to take that moment and say, you know, why I don't want you to do this, because this is the results of that. You know, I was a child too at one time, you know, I mean, you got to let them know, I didn't come in the world as an adult. I came in as a child like you were.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're going through, you may think it's different, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the same thing. You know,
Yes.
what's the thing they have? They call it what is it? The flim flam, the double whammy, the gypsy twist. It's the same soup warmed over.
Those is all the psychedelic gel Jones that you be saying out there.
Yeah, you know.
But now one of the things that I wanted to say about that is when we see all the different things that our young folks do, you know what I'm saying? Is I always say the same thing. It's a direct result from us. It's a direct result. Everything they got from us, or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
So I always lean towards that. Like, yo, explain, because the more you explain to your children, I'm telling you, as a child, that a lot of things was explained to me. It keeps you from like going all the way. I talked about that before. Like when it'd be like, all right, I'm gonna stand out here and look in the door. I ain't gonna go all the way inside. You know, the children who didn't get anything, they just going inside. They don't have nothing to pull from. They just like, I'm just in the experience. I'm just going with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm following because they don't got nothing to pull from. So even in the moments where you feel like your children not listening, it's still like, explain it to them. Explain something to them. Give them a little bit more to think about. And the other thing I wanted to say is we always should be striving for balance in our relationships. Balance, like in everything. But in our relationships,
in life,
strive for
period.
balance. Like, okay, am I doing, like you saying about the control thing? Because I've experienced that where the young woman, the only person, even when she's wrong, she's right. Because the only other people there to challenge any of her thought process or anything that happened is the children. And you can revert to what my elder said. No, whose house is this? You know what I'm saying? Who am I? You can go down the litany of Jones that they say to let you know this is my house. This is my shit. So it's like, all right, you got that trump card until it's another voice that comes in. And you resent that voice instantly because that's not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Because if I make a mistake, it's like a tree falling in the forest. Do anybody hear it? Nobody know I made the mistake except for the children, and they can't say anything.
Right.
If they even know I made the mistake. But now that you have another voice that may be in the house, that becomes an issue because I'm not used to that. Even if the voice makes sense. It's like, why are you even telling me this? I know, you know what I mean? I do it. This how I've been doing it. That becomes, this how I've been doing it. This been working. So what you telling me I'm a terrible mom now? People can get all into that.
Exactly.
But that's not
true.
But that comes from the control thing. It's like, damn, sometime you gotta let us do it. Because I feel like that's what you was talking about just now too. Like,
yeah,
even
no,
in your
I
like
agree.
let them, you know what I mean? Let them
agree.
go ahead, let them step into that space.
Let them.
Like relinquish. Not how we've been relinquishing. How we've been relinquishing now, we just relinquishing our kids to the system.
No, don't
Not
do that.
type of
Don't do
relinquish.
that.
I ain't talking about that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We just
But
relinquish
I
our
mean,
kids.
it's beneficial to be like that. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whenever you are communicating with somebody or you have an interaction with somebody and there's any kind of pushback, right? Look inside first. Don't project onto other people and not take responsibility for your own actions.
Remember when you knew not? That's another one that I got told.
Because we all knew not. At some point, we
Remember
grew.
when you knew not, yo.
We grew
Remember
into
when
the
you didn't know.
people that we are today. I could not be sitting here having this conversation at 20.
Yeah. As a
20,
man.
I'm self-absorbed. I'm trying to get money. I'm working. I'm doing, because I was taught you had to have a job to make money. I wasn't taught to be, a critical thinker and a business owner and be an entrepreneur. I was raised to, you got to get a job and you got to go to school and you got to go to college and that's how you get the money. And, I've done all of that and found, that's not just it. Right? So I'm instilling that or trying to instill that in my kids. But the only thing about when you're trying to do something with your children is they're your children, especially teenagers. But some parents don't have that. Like some parents have really great relationships with their teenage children. But a lot of times it really depends. But if you just be the person that does not judge, share your experience, let the world know, and I'm a firm believer in everything ain't for everybody. I feel like you should hold true to some things for yourself until you're ready to share it. Right? But when you have people, when you see people like your children and your family and your friends who are experiencing certain things that you may have experienced, and you just open your mouth and say something, you never know what's going to happen or what kind of energy you're going to put out there, or let somebody else see like, oh, wow, I thought I was the only person. I thought I was the only one.
It's a difference. Excuse me.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm cool. That's from that gum, man. I shouldn't be chewing gum. I'm not a gum chewer, and I just was chewing gum.
I was gonna have to burp.
That's how it happens. But it's a difference between privacy and secrecy.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying leads into that. Like, for me, secrecy kills. Privacy is a thing of decency for me. Like you saying, everything ain't for everybody. You can know that me and my wife is having sex, but you don't need to see us in the window. You feel what I'm saying? You know we married. You know this is what we do. But you don't need to see. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't need to see it. Y'all don't need to know what days we have sex. We have sex on Monday and Friday. Like, you don't need to know that. But that's a privacy thing. Like, and I feel like that's a decency thing on both sides.
Yeah.
But the secrecy is you getting beat up or your husband is raping you. You know what I'm saying? That's the extreme, like the things that happen, or he's abusing you, or that's the secrecy that we don't want you to have that. But we do want people to have privacy.
Right.
We do want people to be everything, like, let it be in levels. I think we need to, that's going to something that we're going to gradually get back to, like you said about the pendulum. We're going to get back to gradually, because I think Instagram has everything, like social media has everything so far out there that slowly but surely I'm hearing and seeing people retreating. Like, it's just too much. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know if it's enough people at a time, but I'm hearing it. Now, some people just like to say it just to say it. I hear people like, I'm not on social media. Because you got fake pages. You on social media. Stop it. How did you know they was having that cookout over there if you're not on? So how? They didn't post it. You're seeing the story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it is a lot of people who are honestly like, yo, I don't do social media. It's just too much going on. I don't want people in my business like that. And I'm starting to hear that more and more. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what that is? Trauma response. People are so tired of being traumatized, re-traumatized from the things that they see on social media. So the trauma response is, I gotta get to not deal with it. Get away from it. Let me act like it don't exist, like it's not there. Because people coming off social media is not going to stop the things that are happening from happening. But that's their way of keeping their peace of mind. And I feel like everybody should go through a social media cleanse. Honestly.
Is that what it's called? Is it called a social
I
media?
feel like I'm saying
Is that what it's called?
I'm saying
a social media cleanse?
It's a social, but you just like you cleanse your body,
right,
when you go through a cleanse, when you do a detox and stuff like that.
Because this is
I feel like everybody should do a social media cleanse. If you are on social media, you should do a social media cleanse.
I mean, I don't need it. I got reps. So I don't gotta be so absorbed. Cause for a minute I did get a little absorbed. My daughter had to check me a couple times. Like, I would just do all this posting like 3 o'clock in the morning from like 3 to 5. I'm just up, just on just random stuff. Just shooting stuff everywhere. I think I'm doing, I'm doing the work. You know what I'm saying? My daughter was like, yo, you gotta space it out. Like, you just be going ham and just sending pictures and doing all this stuff all at one time.
Yeah, and
but
it's
now,
like the younger people see social media different than we see social media. And the things that we're doing, like my daughter was like, Mom, why you got all these posts? You don't need posts. You know what I mean? Why you got all these posts on your person? Just put it on your story.
Right.
Like I wasn't hardly really using the story at first. I was posting. I got all these.
The story easy. That's why I use it. It's easy to put my stuff up there. It's like a button.
Well,
like, you don't gotta do a lot. Seriously, you don't.
But
especially
honestly,
on Facebook. I don't know why y'all don't like Facebook. Facebook is so easy to post stuff. Like,
but bro, you gotta admit, even since from the time you've been home, social media has evolved.
Hell yeah.
It has changed even in that period of time. So it's like, but everybody, listen,
what you
mark it down on your calendar. I don't care when you do it.
Social media cleanse.
Do a social media cleanse.
Get out the matrix. Get out the matrix. What you was about to say?
And connect with your people in your surroundings.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like the overall thing that we going through as a people, you know. And in my mind, what's ringing is John Henry Clark's words. You know, the elder John Henry Clark. And what I think more we need to do more than anything else is understand this here. His definition of power. He said, power is the ability to define reality for yourself and have other people accept your definition as if it was their own. That is our problem. We have accepted other people's definition as if it was our own, and we're acting on it.
Yeah.
We went crazy.
I agree.
And social media is just a ripe ground for us to adopt more and more and more and more.
Oh, man.
Because it's in your hand. Like,
These
Instagram
phones.
is, listen, man, Instagram is a thing when it comes to the trends, man. And I be watching it like, damn, they really just made them shift the trend right then and there. Like,
That's all it takes.
it's one person have a conversation and a couple people share it, and then, you know what I mean? Like, the 50-50 thing. Like, that became like this big thing, and I'm like, that's not new. That's not new, and people do it all. Like, I don't understand. That's another way, and the reason why it stood out to me because I was like, we're finding all of these things and shaming people who find a way for that to work for them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that. Yeah, we can sit and talk about it because I am a person that thinks like the social constructs that we're following come from a lot of European religion, European culture, you know, and then we try to see other people's culture and maybe be like, oh, I'm a Buddhist. I'm not. But that's, you know, even though Buddha was a black man, he was a Twa, you know, they all know it. You probably don't know it as a Buddha, as a black person. You think you following some Eastern stuff because you don't know anything about being, you know, African. So you think the Asian thing is how you got away from the Europeans. And it's still all mixed up and mangled. But but the thing of that is about where you go with your identity and how you moving with this thing is like, yo, you got all of these tools already lined up for you. You got all of these tools already lined up for you. It's easy for you if you the information is there for you to do it. It's the exposure is there. Just like one thing I can say about social media that my daughter did tell me is like, yo, you could just look at different things. You know what I'm saying? It's not all just that it's social media, but social media pushes out trends and have you going on through these things, and like I was saying, you shaming people about relationship structures when there doesn't have to it can't be one relationship structure.
It's not.
So if we saying that this one relationship, it's not telling people to be polygamous. I'm not telling or being monogamous. What is your definition of a relationship for you and the person that you say you care for, you love, that you want to spend some time with? Because I also believe a lot of what we do is for seasons and we don't be understanding it. Some people seasons is 30 years, some people seasons is 3. And then I think the trauma and the toxicity comes when, because of how you were told to have a relationship, when that season is up, you're still trying to fight for the relationship based on what they told you how you were supposed to maintain this relationship. You gotta fight. You gotta go to counseling. Y'all, people go through things. You might have went and cheated or whatever the case may be. Your season is up. And because of the structure that they told you how you were supposed to have relationships, you spend the next 3 years talking about you supposed to be fighting for this. When you don't like him and he don't like you. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all not compatible. That's another thing. People don't be compatible. But they think I have to have a relationship. That gives me a certain value. I have to be married. I have to be a wife. I have to be a husband. It gives you a certain value, but you're doing it under a construct that's not going to work for the person that you chose. You know what I'm saying? And because of how our dynamics is and all the different things, we need to be allowing people to have family however it works for them. Don't shame them. Somebody that I love dearly said to me that women that's she's a devout Christian, you know, and I love the Lord too. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the same time because it all came from black folk. But she feels like it only could be monogamy, right? So what I say to her, I say, well, damn, majority of the world right now is living in polygamy. Majority of the world. And what I say to a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters, not to say that you can't be monogamous or you can't be polygamous, but almost every relationship that you see in the Bible is polygamous. But you're on the pulpit telling everybody that monogamy is the only way, and if you don't do this, and if you alter this any type of way, that's sinning. But every relationship in the Bible is a polygamous relationship. But you're standing on. But where that came from is a European Christian told you that monogamy with one man, one woman, that was the thing. You feel what I'm saying? So we having this conversation, and she tells me, she say, yo, all of those women, they got self-esteem issues.
All of what women?
All of the other women in the world who are living in a different relationship structure than the one she lives in.
Oh.
Because like I said, you could do the majority of the people in the world are living in polygamous lifestyle. Like that's what that. Just go check it out.
They just got another name for it now.
Right, they just got different names for it in different places. You know what I mean? And it's for different things. It's always been to make sure that everybody had the ability to have family in those places where the numbers were skewed. Where it's 2 million more women or 90,000 more women. Speaking to black folk in America, black folk in Philadelphia, is 90,000 more women than it is men. And that's just pure bodies if everybody just linked up. We ain't talking about mental illness. We ain't talking about early death, premature death. We ain't talking about jail. So now that 90,000 gets bigger. And all I'm saying is the way that we're having relationships and the way we've been taught to have relationships are not working. And we just need to have a serious conversation about that. And throw out the shit that we was taught for an hour. Can we get an hour of monogamy, Christian monogamy? I'm gonna just say that Christians they're gonna be upset with me, but it's the European Christianity. If you're a black liberation theologist, you probably think differently. But can we get an hour of just like no relationship structure exists? I know that's hard, but can we come up with something? Or can we look at what all the L's are from bad relationships and say, damn, how, because we're shaming people into doing things that are not working, and it's fucking us up because now we ain't having no strong family structures. We not having them. It's too many places where, so I'm not saying polygamy is the thing. That's not what I'm saying when I have this conversation about relationships. But what I do have empirical evidence is that how we have been having relationships for the last 50 years, it hasn't working. Look at our families.
And I would add that there's a lot of external things going on that have influenced those numbers. I don't think it's just merely the structure of the relationship. I feel like it's a part of the whole issue with the breakdown of the family.
They tell you to have a relationship in a certain way, and then they do shit to fuck with your ability to have the relationship in that way.
Exactly. And I feel like, and this is one of the things that our elder touched on earlier, is that purpose. Like, for women, and I talked about, walking in your purpose, and I know, what I need to do, and I know the things I need to work on. And when he mentioned that, women, we produce, right? What is the man's purpose? And I feel like a lot of women and men struggle with their purpose, but men in particular. And because of that, it's that idea that, the roles. This is what I'm supposed to do as a man. Well, what's really going on inside of you, and what do you really want? I feel like if we are connecting ourselves to our purpose and walking in that purpose, and can voice that openly with someone, and they can do the same, you can have a relationship that can exist, whatever that may look like. And I feel like, just like women, like I said from the beginning, we come out with these roles. We supposed to have the kids. We supposed to keep, and the fact that they have stripped is so many generational women that don't have that. The husband in the home and the family structure of what we grew up believing. Like you said, it's like, okay, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to keep my family together. You know what I mean?
I think that it probably would be healthy, if one time y'all just had a conversation on where did it start at? Where does polygamy start?
A great woman I know says this consistently. The beginnings.
Huh?
Nobody wants to deal with the beginnings.
They don't want to deal with the beginnings, right? And that's what it is that you know, in ancient times, you know, I mean, these people were faced with complex problems. I mean, that this was popping up. They had no nothing to draw back on. It didn't happen over here. So what did they do when there was a disparity in the birth rates? When there's more women born than men? When you live in a society that says everybody is to be loved and to experience love and have love. Well, how can you have love when there ain't enough women for you? So what do you do? Because if you don't do something, what is the results of not doing anything? Vice, adultery, you know, all these things here. So now they came up with this solution, but you know, I mean, it was what they did at the time, you know, and they said, well, you know, this is what we'll do. You know, when the birth rates is disparity in the birth rates, where there's more women than there is men, then we'll allow men to take on a second wife. But what happened when the birth rate went the other way? They allowed women to take a second husband. And see, we don't want to talk about that. You know,
no,
we don't
not
want to
at
have
all.
that. It's called polyandry.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about Queen.
No.
Nobody can tell you who the Queen of Sheba's husband was. You never heard of the King of Sheba. Who was he?
Yeah.
You
Who
know,
was it?
he was a polyandrist. That's what she was. She went over there and had sex with Solomon and this, that, and the other, and all this kind of stuff, right? But I'm just saying is that it was a reason for it. And once we understood even though it hasn't stopped, now we modernized it. You know, like we talk about polygamy, you know, oh, no. But you got polyandry going on today, too. You know, like men got side chicks, women got side dicks. I'm sorry. I couldn't say it no better.
Oh my word!
I know. I wasn't even gonna get on. I wasn't even gonna get on the player joint. Like players,
man.
because I was raised by women, so I
Man,
seen
oh,
all.
man.
That's another reason why I'm so open when somebody do say that to me. Well, if that's how you moving, yeah, I don't concern myself. I care about you, I love you, but I don't concern myself with that. It's not in my presence. Why am I going to think about this imaginary thing? Because right now it's an imaginary thing. Now I can go search for it and maybe find it, but why am I going to worry about who her work husband is? Long as he keep her safe, I don't care. Keep her safe at work until she get home. Like I just
Yeah, you say that now. I ain't even trying to hear that.
No. I'm serious.
Please,
I'm serious. Listen, because I'm gonna tell you something I've done that I don't think other men have done.
And what's that?
I have explored why I feel some type of way when I don't deal with a woman. When I stop dealing with a woman for whatever reason, I stop dealing with her for. And I still be feeling like Neo. I bring this up all the time. I don't like the song, and I'm a man. And then you know what's crazy? It showed in how Neo actually acts in his real life. And I'm going to just give a quick John. Let me do this too before, because we always be still in time. But Neo has a song called I Just Wonder, I think is Do You Think of Me or whatever.
Yeah.
That song is about the male ego in its most extreme because he's telling you that supposedly he loves this woman, but he's telling you that everything about her life since they stopped messing with each other is good. Beautiful baby, she married. So what can her calling you or answering your call do for her relationship right now but fuck it up? And your ego is so big that you're calling this woman, asking her, I just wonder if you think of me. Knowing that can fuck up everything that you saying that she got that's so beautiful. So what I had to understand, and then in his real life, he told a woman he didn't want to have no more children, so she altered her body, and then he went and had kids with another woman. After you convinced this woman to alter her body for you. Because you thought, you gave her the impression that y'all was going to be together forever or whatever. So things like that made me have to explore, like, why do I feel some type of way even when I'm the one that broke up with her? Or I'm the one why do I feel if I had to explore it? Because we wired different.
Yeah.
And I had to realize what my wiring is. So I can't be concerned about that. I trained myself not to be concerned about that. Now, it was a little easy to a certain extent because I was in prison, but I already had that type of personality anyway. But I had to train myself in jail. Women that I dealt with, it's nothing. Like, I don't ask no questions I don't want to know. If you let her send a couple dollars, come see me, I'm not concerning myself with nothing, man. When we together, we gonna enjoy that time. When we writing, we on the phone, we on the visit. I don't concern myself with nothing else. I won't ask none of that.
So what you do when you do find out?
it is what it is. I got to move on to the next thing if that's not the rules of our engagement.
Oh, so you got to move on to the next thing.
I got to listen.
What happened to the polygamy?
No.
That mean y'all all together.
No, I'm saying I have
What
dealt with.
polyandry?
No. I have dealt. I'm talking about if the rules of engagement say I need to move on. If you saying
And
that
what
we,
how would you determine the rules of engagement?
Because if we saying that it's me and you, it's just me and you. It's just me and you. If we
Is
saying
that,
that,
is it really that what it is?
For real.
Is it me and you for her, but you and whoever you want for you?
No. One thing that I think any woman that I've ever dealt with can allow you to know is that I don't. They can say you a little vague, but in vague, I'm telling you what it is.
No.
I'm telling you what it is.
That's the okay. I ain't lie, but I ain't tell the truth either.
No.
I feel like it's.
No.
I feel like call him a Mac, call me a hoe, say I'm in it for the dough. You feel me?
No.
What the fuck he in it
it's
for?
It's like somebody asks you, "Do you want to get? Is you getting married?"
What is he in
I don't
it
want to
for?
get married. I don't want to get married. I'll tell you that.
That's,
you know what I'm saying? Do you want to have
respect
children?
Right
No, I don't want to have children.
But that's respect right there.
Do you want to be in a relationship with me? It's just gonna be me. No, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah, but you know that now.
No, I knew it then, but I knew I loved you too.
But you didn't say it then.
I did say it. I did. I said, listen. No. Listen, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, we gotta go, but you know, this is another conversation to be had because my brothers know different standards for different strokes, different
No, it is not.
Call him a man, call me a hoe.
The same thing. Yo, no. I'm not one of them boys. I'm telling y'all, it's this with me.
He say it until it actually happens.
No, it's even then, it's like this. It's like this. Listen, we gotta get out of here.
He's sweating now. Y'all see his hand?
No,
he's sweating. He's sweating. Look at his hand. He's sweating. Yeah, like I said. Like I said. Yeah. Y'all hear it. Yeah. We out, y'all.